Today, I'm going to share with you 8 misconceptions regarding marrying a younger man while also offering practical advice for navigating that age gap relationship. Whether you're already in a relationship with a younger man or maybe you're just curious, this is a safe place to hear the joys, challenges, and the lessons of marrying a younger man. I was really excited for this one. Or, as my kids like to refer to it as, being a cougar. I hate that word. My kids call me that all the time, but I hate that word. Let's go. My husband and I have been together for 19 years. I can't believe it's already 19 years. When we first met, I was 43 and he was 31. At the time, I had no idea how old he was. He looked a lot younger, but I just never thought he was 12 years younger than I was. So today we are actually 50 and 62. And we met through a mutual friend. My soon to be love interest was originally interested in my daughter. And I promise he is not a creep. My daughter just happens to look much older than she actually is. To make a long story short, we developed a long lasting relationship. During my childhood, I had an aunt that married a man that was 20 years younger than her. And boy, was she the talk of the family. You just didn't do that. You didn't hear that, a woman marrying a younger man. And everyone thought he had to be after her money. But it was okay for the man, though, to date or marry a younger woman, at least in the eyes of other men. But in the eyes of women, the woman who was with an older man was usually a gold digger. Oh, Lord, I am old. I'm using that term, gold digger. So let's get on with the misconceptions about marrying a younger man. The first one is it won't last because of the age gap. So many people assume that relationships with significant age differences are doomed to fail from the beginning. And I'll be honest, I tried unsuccessfully to push my husband away and actually encouraged him to go find a younger girl that could offer him a family. He had never been married, so I wanted him to experience that type of life. And in reality, a strong foundation of trust, communication, and shared values really matters more than the age gap. The second misconception is that you're just a fad or a phase. And no, that's not true. Some critics may label the relationship as a passing fancy or suggest it lacks depth. Oh, fancy. That's making me old too. Anyways, it suggests maybe it lacks depth, ignoring the genuine emotional connection between the partners. I wasn't looking for a man at all when I met my now husband. Actually, I was still married, but I was separated and heading for a divorce. I figured if I really was going to ever have another relationship, it was going to be dinner, a good time every once in a while, whenever it was convenient, and more than likely convenient on my end. But as we know today, that did not go that way. The number 3 misconception: he will leave you for someone younger. And this fear is often rooted in societal insecurities rather than reality. And many younger partners value maturity and life experience, which deepens the relationship that much more. At the time of our relationship, I never doubted one time that he would leave me for someone younger. And in fact, he thought that I would trade him in for someone younger. So my husband is actually an old soul. And at times, I swear he acts older than I do. No, it's not really at times, it's most of the time. The fourth misconception is you're trying to recapture your youth. People might assume you're with a younger man to feel younger yourself, disregarding the compatibility and mutual respect that likely probably brought both of you together in the first place. And I did not feel, or I didn't need to feel that way, because I have always, and still do to this day, feel younger than I am. I would I would consider myself as having the Peter Pan syndrome, which is having difficulty growing up. And my husband, he's always acting older than I am. Sometimes I have to tell him to lighten up. So, number 5 misconception, he'll end up taking care of you. This one was funny. Age gap relationships are often judged with an assumption that one partner is going to eventually become a burden, dismissing the adaptability and partnership dynamics of the couple in general. Again, like I said, I love this one. My husband swears he will take care of me to the end, no matter if we had an age gap or not. And I do truly believe that. I mean, I'm going to take care of him. This is just, to us, a normal relationship, what we would do even if we were the same age. That is a true sign of a strong, loving relationship. When I was researching this topic, I came across an episode of Family Feud where the question was, name the top 6 reasons a woman might marry a younger man. And one of the contestants gave this as an answer. And Steve Harvey came back with, ladies, just so you know, that's not what men do. Don't you marry a younger man thinking that he is going to take care of you. Because honestly, we half-ass take care of you now. So, of course, I can't say it as funny as he did. But that answer actually did not end up in the top 6 either. Number 6, it's all about physical attraction. And this is another misconception that these relationships are only purely superficial. They're ignoring, though, the emotional and intellectual and the spiritual connections that are often central to the successes that we have with having that age gap. I'm not going to deny, though, that my husband and I weren't attracted to each other. He was like unlike any other man that I had ever been with. I'd been married before, but he had a full beard, a mustache. He was shorter than any of the other men I've ever dated. My legs were actually longer than his, and he also chewed tobacco. And I will tell you right now that almost was the deal breaker for us. I am proud to say, though, he no longer does that. So that was a bonus. But number 7, you won't have anything in common. My husband and I actually, we didn't have a lot in common as far as hobbies or especially past experiences. I mean, I was born in the 60s. I grew up in the later part of the 60s and the whole 70s, and I graduated in 1981. And he wasn't even born until 1974, and he grew up in the 80s and 90s. However, what bonded us together were our values. They were the same. I mean, I think that because we did have so many uncommon things, that made our lives that much more interesting. And I love the knowledge that my husband had to offer to our relationship. I always consider him an incredible source of useless but very interesting information. Number 8, and the final misconception is you're stealing his future. Well, some people might claim that the younger partner is giving up their chance for a normal life, overlooking the joy and growth that can come from a loving partnership across the ages. This one sort of goes back to the number 1. It won't last because of your age gap. And when I tried to push my husband away, I felt that being with a woman that already had 4 children and more than likely at 43 was not going to have any more children was going to be an issue. So You're Stealing His Future, being the last one, I swear was written by my future mother-in-law. The first time she met me, she told my husband after we met that I looked old. I could actually understand why she felt that way because I am only 8 years younger than my mother-in-law. She also warned my husband to be very careful about being around my daughters in the same room by themselves because they may accuse him of something. Well, if my husband was a creep and my girls were that way, I could understand. And she obviously changed her tune once she got to know me and my kids. I guess if my 25-year-old son was with a woman 8 years younger than me, I would hope that I would remember the relationships or the relationship that my now husband and I had at that time and how wonderful it was um, throughout the years. So, my advice is to approach it like you would any other relationship. I mean, marrying a younger man should not have its own set of principles or relationship guidelines. I mean, you want to look at your common ground just like you would with someone that you're marrying of your own age. You want to look at it as your common grounds, your differences, your shared values, and of course, most importantly, communication. I will have to say though, there are certain times throughout our age gap that throughout the years of our age gap that we really can't take too seriously. About 13 years ago, we were watching my son's baseball game, and he was 12 at the time, my son. I had this thought run through my mind real quick, believe me, that was when I was 24, my husband was my son's age at that time, right there, 12. Oh, God, I shuddered. I shuddered to think of the age gap at those certain times of our lives. And granted, though, as I look towards retirement age, I am self employed. So thank goodness I am partially there already. But when I do hit 65, he will only be 53 and have 12 more years then until he hits 65, which then that's going to make me 77. Oh my God. I got to stop. I got to stop thinking about the age gap. I mean, just enjoy the time you have with each other and stop worrying about those age gaps and don't go back too far. How to confidently handle comments or judgments. That's going to be something that you're just going to have a common outlook on your overall relationship together. And at times, it's really going to make your relationship stronger. Most of the time, it is. And there's going to be times when you're going to have a lot to laugh about the looks or maybe the comments. So, check out my video on stop sabotaging your happiness. Get out of your own way. And thanks for watching. Please comment below if you're currently in a relationship now with a younger man or if you're thinking about it. We would love to hear from you, and we'll see you on the next video.